बस. Good morning, friends. Welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS. So, guys, here we are about to start the session. Just give me a minute. I will be uploading the PDF for today's session on our Telegram group. You can download the PDF from there. So, you have to give me just 1 minute here. The PDF will be available to you. So, it is very much available on our Telegram group. You can download the PDF from there. Now, here we are just about to start. And so, Vicky, Lipika, Pranjal, Ajay, Supreet, Mohit, Mahi, Pooja, Shyam, Vicky, Anu, Nandini, Nisar, Pretty. Good morning, everyone. So, I'm extremely sorry for the delay. Chaliye. So, let's start the session without wasting much time. Let's see what exactly is there for us in today's newspaper. So, as you can see on the screen, these are the words of Mahatma Gandhi ji, and he said that in a gentle way you can shake the world. In a gentle way you can shake the world. Okay. Now, what does he mean? First thing you have to understand, like, look at his way of living, his way of operation. So he carried out satyagraha, okay, and he emphasized on non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi emphasized on non-violence, and this is what he's saying. He's saying that non-violence is more effective than the coercion. So if you are using violence, if you are using coercion, then that will not be effective. Effective in the sense, if you are using the non-violent method, if you are persuading someone, okay, if you are persuading someone, you are following the non-violent method, then definitely it will have the long lasting impact, long lasting impact, and wider acceptance, wider acceptance. So that's very critical. And contrary to that, if you are using force, अब अगर आप force use कर रहे हो, coercion use कर रहे हो, you are using punishment, okay, then the impact will be temporary. The impact will be temporary. Okay. Along with that, you have to understand, now here Gandhiji is saying shaking the world. It means that he is talking about having influence in large area. Okay. Having influence on large sections of the society. भी जितना हो सके larger section of the society के ऊपर आपका influence होना चाहिए, then only you will be able to talk about world. तभी तो आप world के बारे में बात करोगे, otherwise it will not be about world. Okay. Then he said that, see, why non-violence is important, because the capacity of individual to participate in coercion is less. मैं क्या कह रहा हूं? Gandhi ji carried out with satyagraha. India's freedom struggle movement under his leadership was peaceful. Okay, it was quite peaceful. It was possible because children, women, vulnerable sections of the society, they will be able to participate in the non-violence activities only. बच्चे बूढ़े होते हैं वो सिर्फ नॉन वायलेंस एक्टिविटीज में मेजरली पार्ट ले सकते हैं. You are getting the point. It means that people participating in the non-violent way of protest or persuasion is more, whereas in coercion only few individuals will be participating. So this is what he wants to share. That's why he's saying that in a gentle way you can shake the world. That if you are persuading someone, it will be having a long lasting impact and it has a wider acceptance. That's the important point here. Now, along with that, we can also link this particular concept of Gandhiji with the international relations. Okay, so in the international relations, you have soft power as well as hard power. You have soft power as well as hard power. Hard power, as you can rightly interpret, so it means that you are using the coercive method. भाई आप अपनी आर्मी का यूज कर रहे हो, सैंक्शन लगा रहे हो, ठीक है ना, या तो आर्मी का यूज कर रहे हो या सैंक्शन लगा रहे हो, तो यू आर यूजिंग द कोर्जन, दैट्स योर हार्ड पावर. Contrary to that, soft power is about persuasion, that you will be persuading a country. And when you are using the soft power, it has been observed that the efficacy of soft power has a long lasting impact, because here it is going to facilitate people to people contact, it is going to facilitate peace, shanti aayegi, people to people contact will increase. This is what you can say, that soft power is more effective. In a way, soft power is more effective. So this is what Mahatma Gandhi has said, and definitely, bureaucrats also needs to learn about this particular concept. Okay, that in a gentle way you can shake the world. You are not supposed to go for coercion. There are mechanisms that are available in the service itself. By using them, you can reform the system. आप वो use करके system को reform कर सकते हो. Okay, so this is what we have here. Now we'll directly move to the newspaper part. So here Tamil Nadu tops the food safety index. Gujarat, Maharashtra take the top slots. Okay, so here we have this particular uh, food safety index. It is releasing some of the points here. Okay, so Tamil Nadu is at the top, Gujarat, Maharashtra, they are also in the top slot, top 3 bhi aa jate hain. Okay, so this is what we need to know about it. And this rating is done by Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. तो वो ये जो है रेटिंग प्रोवाइड करते हैं. दिस इज सॉर्ट ऑफ अ गुड थिंग इन द सेंस इट इज गोइंग टू प्रमोट कॉम्पिटिटिव, okay, competitive federalism, that here different states are competing with each other, and when there is a competition for the positive thing, it will bring good change in the society. At the end of the day, your citizen, they are going to get benefit out of it if the system improves. अगर ये पूरा system improve होता है, ठीक है ना, so it will be a beneficiary, your citizen will be the beneficiary, major beneficiary. That's the important point here. So we'll move to the next part now. Government reaches out to all OIC members. So already this controversy is going on. Okay, Al Qaeda has issued a statement. Al Qaeda arms threaten strike in India. So all this is going on. That's why, see, this is the globalized world. Okay, we are living in a globalized world. So whatever you are doing domestically, it will have some repercussion in your international relations. बिल्कुल उसका असर होगा ही होगा. And this is what is happening right now in the whole of West Asia. Okay, these particular countries, now they are saying that like no Indian products can be sold in their, you can say, markets and all, but Indian products nahi allowed honge, all this and all. So they are basically boycotting the Indian products, and this is definitely, it will be a sad thing. So along with that, like yesterday also I told you, nearly 8 million Indians are living there. Okay, so they are sending nearly 64 billion dollars as remittances. इतना फायदा हमें वहां से होता है. So at present, these spokesperson, they are coming out with this absurd statement. बिल्कुल बेकार बात करते हैं, ठीक है ना, irresponsible statement देते हैं, not realizing that it can have this much impact. So people who are living there, their families are in India. So if their jobs, their life is under threat, who will take care of them? कौन इसका ध्यान रखेगा? तो ये चीज़ समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है हमारे लिए, ठीक है ना, ये चीज़ वाकई समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है. So that's the point here. That's the point here. Now we'll move to the next part. Now new rules allow ex-officers to hold the post of CDS. Okay, so here we are talking about Chief of Defense Staff. Now, as per the new rules which have been framed, so like 3-star officers and including the retired chief, service chief, they are eligible for the consideration of the CDS. Okay, the CDS post के लिए 3-star officers, they can also be considered, even those who have retired, but the specific mark of 62 years of age is still there. ये 62 years का जो आपका लिमिट है वो बिल्कुल है यहाँ पे, दैट द रिटायर्ड ऑफिसर शुड नॉट बी अबव 62 years of age. Okay, so this sort of arrangement is existing now. People are saying that this will give a chance to officers to bypass the seniority. तो कहीं ना कहीं सीनियोरिटी बाईपास करके आप अपने ऑफिसर के बॉस बन सकते हो. व्हाई आई एम सेइंग दिस? सो सपोज देयर आर 4-star जनरल्स, ठीक है, अब कोई 4-star जनरल है, ओके, एंड सपोज on the post of CDS a 3-star officer is appointed. So as I told you, 3-star officer will also be eligible for this. Okay, मतलब मेजर जनरल रैंक का ऑफिसर भी शायद एलिजिबल हो जाएगा. So in that scenario, as the 3-star officer is, you can say, eligible for this, and if he gets a chance to become a CDS, definitely he will supersede his seniors. अपने सीनियर्स के ऊपर जाके बैठ जाएंगे. बट द प्राइम लिमिट इज दैट द लिमिट शुड बी 62 years of age, that he should not be above or more than 62 years of age. That is what has been mentioned by the government. ये नई चीज है, because the government wants that, they want more options. Okay, they want more options. So if you are increasing, you can say, the categories and all, so it means that you are also increasing the options. That's the point here. So we'll move to the next part. आगे चलते हैं, देखते हैं क्या है यहाँ पे. Okay, so here we are on this particular page. Let's move to the editorial section. Straightforward पे चलते हैं, editorial section. So they are talking about the weight of the GST Council ruling. Okay, so Supreme Court in one of the judgment has said that the the recommendations of the GST Council, they are only recommendatory in nature. ठीक है ना, GST काउंसिल का जो भी आउटकम होगा, वट एवर डिसीजन दे आर टेकिंग, इट इज ओनली रिकमेंडरी इन नेचर. एंड लाइक दिस वाज अलार्मिंग थिंग. फर्दर सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड दैट द स्टेट as well as union, okay, they both have equal powers to legislate on the taxation matter. भी दोनों के पास इतनी पावर है कि वो legislate करें on taxation matter, tax related matter. Now the problem is that if you start implementing this judgment, the whole idea of GST reform will be lost. We got GST with the idea of one market, one tax. Okay, that was primarily done to reduce the confusion, to simplify the tax regime in India. इंडिया के अंदर जो आपका टैक्स रेजीम है उसको सिंप्लीफाई करने के लिए ये चीज की गई है. That's the point. Now, right now, if Supreme Court is coming out with this type of judgment, it can change the whole nature of whole idea of GST. Because if states they start imposing their own taxes. अब जैसे पहले टैक्स लगाते थे स्टेट्स, वैट लगाते थे, okay, value added tax. So if they start doing it again, then definitely it is going to create a confusion. ये दोबारा confusion वाला environment हम बना रहे हैं. That's the important point here, and this is what we don't want. So there needs to be some clarification, and government is coming out with the clarification. Definitely the Supreme Court judgment is basically upholding the democratic and the federal spirit of GST. Okay, so they are saying that federal means what? Federal means that the state and the union, they enjoy equal rights in their own spheres. अपने अपने एरिया के अंदर उनका राइट जो है वो बिल्कुल बराबर है, अच्छे से दोनों कानून बना सकते हैं. This is what federalism means. Okay, that is division of power. So here also they are saying the same thing, that the court is upholding the democratic and the federal spirit. Now in this Union of India versus Mohit Mineral Private Limited case, so Supreme Court decided that the integrated GST on ocean freight paid by foreign seller to the foreign shipping company, okay, integrated GST on the ocean freight paid by the foreign seller to the foreign shipping company, ruled that the recommendations of the GST Council are not binding on either union or state. That was the alarming thing. ये confusion करने वाली चीज थी. because right till now we were considering that GST Council recommendations were binding, उसी को लेके सारे काम चला रहे थे, but here they have completely changed the course, पूरा का पूरा तामझाम ही बदल दिया इन्होंने. Okay, so this issue, like there is a fundamental question that whether it was a norm for the future or this was just specific for this case. भाई सिर्फ इसी केस के ऊपर था या फिर ये फ्यूचर में नॉर्म ही बना दिया कोर्ट ने. That was the point here. That was the point here. Now when you talk about GST Council, it acts as a super body. So immediately after this pronouncement, the Revenue Secretary of Government of India, he reiterated, he comes out with the clarification. He said that the council will continue to function what is it used to do in the last 5 years. जैसा पिछले 5 साल में चल रहा था, it will work like that only. It will work like that only. Means that the GST Council findings, they are binding on the executive and the legislature. Okay, this is what they said. This is what the clarification was given by the government. So government was of the opinion that the GST Council could function as a super parliament or assembly by sending binding recommendations. तो government तो उसको binding recommendations मान के चल रही है. And definitely Article 246A gives power to union and the state government simultaneously to legislate GST. Now the point is that how you are interpreting it. How interpretation is being carried out. सारा मामला यहाँ पे interpretation का है. That's the point here. Now, if we go by this judgment that states and the center they both have the equal power to legislate, तो मतलब वो फिर अपने अपने डोमेन में कानून बनाएंगे. Okay? Then definitely there is no point, there is no use of GST Council. तो उसका existence ही खतरे में पड़ जाएगा if the states and the union they start coming out with their own laws. That's the point. Along with that, you have Article 279A, which stipulates the creation of GST Council and its function. So it says that the council has to function as a platform where union and the state, they can come together, they can discuss things, they can resolve their disputes, and this is an example of cooperative federalism. By GST Council, whenever you are addressing a question, this is an example of cooperative federalism. Okay, कहीं ना कहीं ये cooperative federalism का part है. That's the point. So the council shall unanimously, through a majority of 75% of the weight votes, decides on all matters pertaining to GST and recommends such decision to union and the state government. बिल्कुल वो recommend करता है. Now, basic idea of GST is to have the harmonized commodity tax. That is, there should not be any, you can say, overlapping, cascading. Earlier, what used to be the system? Tax के ऊपर tax लग जाता था because there was no clarity. चीजें clear ही नहीं होती थी. So right now we don't want this type of thing. And definitely GST Council, we want it to function as a body of cooperative federalism. बिल्कुल cooperative federalism की तरह काम करे. Okay. Definitely it's a good thing. This is what we want. This is what we want. Now, if you look into the constitutional validity, so definitely the council's recommendations, they are quite constitutional and they could be overridden only in exceptional cases. भाई exceptional मामलों में तो आप GST Council के decision को override कर सकते हो, but that should not be a norm. ये norm नहीं होना चाहिए. And this is what Additional Solicitor General, he say defended the government. सरकार को डिफेंड किया इन्होंने कि आप ऐसा नहीं होगा कि हर बात पे जीएसटी काउंसिल के जजमेंट को, डिसीजन को आप क्वेश्चन कर रहे हो, उसको हटा रहे हो. दैट्स द इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट है. एंड whenever you look into the voting pattern, it is also said that union government, they have 1/3 of the weight of votes, and if you want to pass anything in GST Council, so you will require at least 3/4 of the vote. अब देखो यूनियन के पास कितना वोट है? 1/3. ओके, और स्टेट्स के पास कितने वोट हैं? 2/3. ओके, एंड अगर आपको कोई डिसीजन पास कराना है तो देन इट विल बी हैविंग, इट शुड बी 3/4 से पास होना चाहिए वो. नाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट it is showing that union is having somehow a veto power, because अगर यूनियन नहीं मानेगा तो ये 3/4 कभी अचीव ही नहीं होगा. अगर यूनियन, if union is not in favor of whatever state governments are saying, then definitely the decision is not to be taken, because 3/4 majority will not be reached. So this is the point, and that's why they say that the present system of GST, it is somehow creating an imbalance. भाई कहीं ना कहीं imbalance create कर रहा है, as union is becoming more powerful here. उनके पास जबरदस्ती की veto power आ रही है. That's the point here. That's the point here. And there is another issue in the sense that each and every state, they have a single vote. हर state का अपना एक अलग से single vote है. So even those states which may not be having the economic capacity, जिनकी economic capacity ना हो, even they will have the voting preferences, okay. And definitely these small states, they can be easily, you can say, influenced by the interest groups. तो आपके जो interest groups हैं वो easily छोटे states को influence कर सकते हैं. So it is quite possible. अब ये interest group कैसे हो गए? Suppose some of the corporates, they will promise one or two states that if you are raising this issue for us in the GST Council, then definitely we will increase our investment in your state. भाई ऐसा कर सकते हैं ना corporates कि भी आप GST Council की मीटिंग में इस आइडिया को प्रपोज करना, सपोर्ट करना, एंड वी विल इन्वेस्ट इन योर स्टेट, हम आपके स्टेट के अंदर इन्वेस्टमेंट इंक्रीज कर देंगे. So this is the point, that these small states, they can be easily influenced by the interest groups. That's the significant point here. बहुत आसानी से वो जो है influence हो सकते हैं. So clause 6 of article 279A reflect this spirit. Now it is saying that while discharging the functions conferred by this article, the GST Council shall be guided by the need for harmonized structure of GST and for the development of harmonized national market for goods and services. But the point is that if the atmosphere is of non-cooperation in union and the state government, so right now there is a problem with union and the Delhi, okay, then West Bengal, Tamil Nadu. So if there is non-cooperative environment between union and the state, then definitely there are chances, there is a fear that GST Council might even break down. GST Council breakdown भी हो जाएगा, and this is what we don't want. This is what we don't want. Okay, so all these things are to be looked into. ये सारी चीजें, ये सारे फैक्टर आपको यहाँ पे समझने हैं. Now this power of recommendation rests on the practices of cooperative federalism and collaborative decision making of the council. So सारी चीज इसके ऊपर डिपेंड करती है कि how we are exercising these powers. So we'll move to the next editorial. So next editorial is pointing towards what are the issues that are prevailing, okay, how things are not turning, specifically if you talk about global economy. So right now global economy is under turmoil, okay. So we know that in 2008 there was a crisis, and like by 2015-16 the situation was not that good, but things improved, okay, चीजें यहाँ पे improve हो गई. And we knew some of the fact, like China also slowed down, there was a major slowdown going on in China. So all this was happening, and later in 2020 you had another crisis called COVID-19. Now as soon as the COVID-19 was over, the countries were on the brink of revival, you had another problem called Ukraine-Russia war. So this particular scenario is there. Now right now Ukraine-Russia war is there, plus lockdown is going on in China. लॉकडाउन चल रहा है अभी आजकल चाइना में. So this is the current scenario, and what's the outcome of this particular development? The outcome is that your fuel prices are increasing, okay, plus wheat and commodity prices, they are increasing. ये भी increase हो रहा है, wheat and commodity price increase हो रहा है, ठीक है ना. So all this is developing into inflation. Plus if you talk about lockdown in China, so that is disrupting the global supply chain. अब ये global supply chain भी यहाँ से impact हो रहा है, okay. So when your global supply chain is impacting, it is also further adding to the inflation. So this is the present scenario that is going on. These are the issues that are there, and that's why it is saying that global economy might not be able to revive very soon. जितना जल्दी रिवाइवल होना चाहिए था उतना जल्दी शायद रिवाइवल ना हो. That's the point here. It may take some more years. कुछ और साल यहाँ पे लग सकते हैं. Okay. Now the point is that in that scenario, what all choices that countries will have, specifically the developing countries. अब developing countries की बात करते हैं तो आपके पास choice क्या होती है? See, you have to give some room for the development and growth. आपको growth और development के लिए भी room छोड़ना होगा. It means that you cannot have higher interest rate. आपका interest rate जो है that should be within limits. Higher interest rate is not desirable. Your interest rate should be within limits. ये within limit डालने की जरूरत है. That's one point here. Okay, that's one point here. Now along with that, like if inflation is there, अब inflation आ गया, that's a problem, because when you talk about inflation, it is the poor section of the society which is majorly impacted. सबसे बुरा असर जो है वो poor section of the society पे पड़ती है. So if you have inflation, definitely this is not desirable, and to control inflation you have to again increase the interest rate. आपको increase करना पड़ेगा interest rate को. Okay, so all this dilemma is going on कि करें तो क्या करें. Now if you go for tighter financial condition, your economic growth will be impacted. Economic growth will be impacted means that employment, okay, all these things will be impacted. Business activity will not flourish. Business activity यहाँ पे flourish नहीं करेगी, and when business activity, market economy, it is not flourishing, it means that the revenue collection of the government will also go down. सरकार के पास पैसा भी नहीं आएगा, बिल्कुल टैक्स कलेक्शन नहीं होगा अगर बिजनेस एक्टिविटी नहीं होगी. So all this scenario is going on, and करे तो करे क्या करें. And apart from that, if you are using monetary policy tools, ठीक है, monetary policy committee will say that okay, increase the interest rate or reduce the interest rate. ठीक है, आपने monetary method use किया, RBI is trying to control the situation. I am saying that the present circumstances, the reason for the higher inflation are not, you can say, monetary. Reason is primarily the geopolitical. अब Ukraine Russia war is going on. Okay, so what RBI can do in that? So only Ukraine and Russia, they can stop this war. वही इसको decide कर सकते हैं, RBI थोड़ी ना कुछ करेगा. Along with that, yes, there are some talks right now. Okay, talks are being facilitated by Turkey. By that, like they are exploring how Ukrainian ships, यूक्रेन के शिप्स जो हैं कैसे जो हैं लाइक दे शुड बी अलाउड टू लीव द कोस्ट एंड द पोर्ट्स, एंड दे शुड बी अलाउड टू कैरी द व्हीट एंड ऑल. तो वो चीज़ अभी एक्सप्लोर कर रहे हैं, बट इट्स अ क्वाइट डिस्टेंट थिंग, बहुत दूर की बातें हैं वो, इतनी जल्दी चीज़ें नहीं ठीक होंगी. सो दैट्स द सिग्निफिकेंट पॉइंट है. Now they are saying that there are aftershocks that are emerging. So you had COVID-19, after that you had Ukraine Russia. Okay, and right now the situation is really worse, because this is how the scenario is in both developed and the developing nations. Already the uncertainties are quite high. No one knows what is going to be the future of global economy. Okay, we know that frequent disruption are going on in the global supply chain. बिल्कुल disruption चल रहा है पिछले 2 सालों से, ठीक है ना. और like there are bottlenecks that are there, manufacturing के अंदर bottleneck आ रहा है, means like supply chain impact हो रही है. This is the scenario right now, and today you know that inflation is a major concern because it is at their, you can say, 40 years high. Right now inflation that you are seeing, it is not just Indian phenomena, it's a global phenomena. Globally it is going on. Okay, globally it is going on, and that's the problematic thing. And as per the estimates of IMF, that it is not going to go away quite soon. इतनी जल्दी inflation नीचे नहीं जाएगा. That's the scenario here, and that's the alarming thing. Means things are going to remain at higher price, बिल्कुल ये प्रॉब्लम खराब करने वाली है. We know that oil and gas prices, they are higher, okay, and this is how it will develop into cascading effect. अब मतलब transportation logistics, if the cost is increasing, the input cost is going to increase for every product. हर चीज का दाम बढ़ेगा ही बढ़ेगा. That's the point here. So higher energy prices, definitely it will develop into rising transportation cost, okay, and this is how it is going to create problem. यहाँ पे problem create होगी, ठीक है ना. Persistent short supply and increasing food and fuel price could significantly increase the risk of social unrest. Okay, so ये सारी चीजें भी यहाँ पे हो सकती है. Now if the food prices are increasing, social unrest can be there. We know that how things are turning up in Sri Lanka. आपको मालूम है श्रीलंका में क्या चल रहा है. So that's the problematic thing, and we don't want this thing to happen. Then interest rate tightening by United States. Okay, we know that interest rates, US is increasing the interest rate. There will be a sudden flow of capital, outflow of capital from the developing economies. अब developing economies से एकदम से पैसा बाहर चला जाएगा. And I am telling you this thing, you have to note it down. This is really very important for your prelims. ये बहुत important है जो concept मैं बता रहा हूँ, because UPSC did ask a straightforward question on bond rate increase by United States. So you should be knowing this, that if US is increasing the rates in their respective market, if the Federal Reserve is increasing the rates in their respective market, it will have impact on India. What will be the impact? That there will be a sudden outflow of capital. क्यों जाएगा ये capital? So as US is going to increase the rate, it shows that the health of the US economy is improving. भी US की economy की health जो है वो improve हो रही है. Plus the bond returns. So whatever returns these companies used to get on bonds, they will also increase. Not in India, in United States. So that's why the investor will think that why should we invest in stock market or in any other area? Let's move out our money from here. Let's invest in United States because it is promising better return. That's the point. So that's one impact here. Then currency will depreciate in the developing economy. भाई developing economy की currency एकदम depreciate हो जाएगी. बिकॉज डॉलर की डिमांड एकदम से इंक्रीज होगी यहाँ पे. ओके, दैट्स द पॉइंट हियर. एंड ऑल दिस विल लीड टू फ्लक्चुएशंस, बहुत भारी फ्लक्चुएशंस यहाँ पे आने वाला है. दैट्स द पॉइंट हियर. एंड इफ यू आर डूइंग दिस, इफ दिस इज द सिनेरियो, अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट इस तरीके से चल रहे हैं, इट विल फर्दर रिड्यूस द फिस्कल स्पेस. रेवेन्यू कम हो जाएगा, fiscal space will go down. That's the repercussion of this impact. So that's the point here. Now again I am telling you this thing, the factors that are contributing to the higher inflation, they are beyond the control of central banks. अब यूक्रेन रशिया लड़ाई में RBI कुछ नहीं कर सकता. That's the point here. So the policy effort that your central bank is coming out with, monetary policy भी हाथ पैर मार रहा है, it has its own limitation. उसकी जो capacity है वो limited है. That's the point here. That's the point here. ये चीज समझना जरूरी है. So we'll move to the next part. आगे चलते हैं यहाँ पे. So here crime and the copyright infringement. Okay, so right now as per the Copyright Act 1957, so if there is a case of copyright violation, then it's a cognizable offense. Okay, संगीन जुर्म मानते हैं और जो है मेजरली 3 साल की सजा हो सकती है. ठीक है ना, 3 साल की सजा हो सकती है. Okay, that's the point here. So this is how things are. This is the debate that you have to look into, that should we criminalize it or not. भाई आप इसको criminal case की तरह deal करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, or should we deal with just as a civil case. If you want to, you can say, avoid copyrights violation, अगर आप वाकई इसे करना चाहते हो तो क्या आपको इसे सिविल सूट बनाना चाहिए या क्रिमिनल सूट बनाना चाहिए. That's the debate here. Okay, definitely like The present arrangement somehow is not that effective because in India there are copyright violations. बिल्कुल copyright violation होता है यहाँ पे. Okay. So we have to improve things. This is what has been mentioned here. So you can read it on your own. आप इसको read भी कर सकते हो. We'll move to the next part. Okay. So we have another news now of what good is a bad bank. So we know this. This idea of bad bank was proposed that this bad bank, it will handle the non-performing assets of the banks. Okay, so the loans, non-performing assets कौन से हो गए? The loans that were given by the bank, and it will primarily include the underperforming loans. Okay, कि जहाँ से रिटर्न नहीं आ रहा है, बैंक करप्ट होगी कंपनी. सो अगेन यू विल हैव दिस अरेंजमेंट एंड देयर विल बी अ बैड बैंक विच विल हैव एक्सपर्टीज. ये बैड बैंक के अंदर आप एक्सपर्ट्स अपॉइंट करोगे. दोज एक्सपर्ट्स will have expertise in dealing with asset reconstruction. Okay, कि भी उस एसेट का क्या करना है. मान लो खराब लोन है, या तो ऐसा हो सकता है कि if by pumping money that loan, that particular company can be made profitable. क्या ऐसा हो सकता है? if not what are the other options? किसी प्राइवेट कंपनी को बेचने का डिसीजन, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर देयर, ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर देयर. ठीक है ना, ये सारी चीजें यहाँ पे इन्होंने बताई हैं. ओके, कि बैड बैंक का हमें क्या करना चाहिए. Now right now it's a good thing because you will have expertise to handle these things, and it will also remove the burden from banks. One thing is for sure that if these NPAs they are being taken by bad bank, okay, कि जो bad loans को help करेगा वो सारी चीजें यहाँ चली जाएंगी. Banks there you can say sheet will become clean. उनकी शीट जो है, अकाउंट शीट जो है वो बिल्कुल क्लीन हो जाएगी. एंड व्हेन यू हैव अ क्लीनर अकाउंट शीट डेफिनेटली दे विल इट विल फैसिलिटेट लेंडिंग. जो फ्यूचर लेंडिंग है वो यहाँ पे अच्छे से फैसिलिटेट होती है. ठीक है ना. सो दैट्स द पॉइंट हियर, दैट्स द पॉइंट हियर. सो बैलेंस शीट इफ इट इज क्लीन, banks will have the way out, the bandwidth, the flexibility to further give their loans. ये एक important चीज है because right now if NPAs are reflecting on the balance sheet, अब NPAs अगर किसी बैंक की बैलेंस शीट पे नजर आ रहे हैं, then that bank may not be able to lend money. बिल्कुल ऐसा हो सकता है. So this is the important point here. So we'll move to the next part here. Next part, it is saying that fissures in the West anti-Russia alliance. Okay, so France and Germany, they are aiming for diplomatic solution to the Ukraine-Russia war, and this is advisable. This is advisable. Okay, advisable in the sense, see, what are the concerns of Russia? Russia wants to remain relevant, okay, in the politics of Europe. भाई यूरोप की पॉलिटिक्स के अंदर रशिया जो है एक रेलेवेंट प्लेयर बन के रहना चाहता है. एंड राइट नाउ इट वाज ऑब्जर्व्ड दैट विद द say emergence of US or the closeness between US and EU is increasing, so somehow Russia was feeling that it is completely sidelined. रशिया को ये लगता था कि वो sidelined है. So at that time as well, these particular European nations, they had shown the inclination that Europe has its own culture, Europe has its own importance, and Russia is an important part of that. So that's why they are here trying to resolve this issue through diplomatic channels. So even if the peace is restored and the war is over with the help of diplomatic channel, we have to welcome it. हमें वाकई इसको support करना है. That's the important point here. But here like European countries are on different lines, and US, definitely US will say that nahi, like Ukraine should continue this war, this and that. ठीक है ना, they will continue to supply weapons and all to the Ukraine. This is what US may be suggesting. But Europeans, they know that at the end of the day they have to live with Russia. They cannot throw out Russia from Europe. So they are following a different approach. वो थोड़ी approach अपने different कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. Okay. So other than that, there was nothing much. So India aims to join NSG. This is what minister is saying. a nuclear supplier group. Okay, so you have NSG as a nuclear supplier group. Now NSG, the members of these nuclear supplier groups, only they can carry out trade with each other. एक दूसरे के साथ nuclear trade करना है. So like primarily these nuclear supplier group members, they can carry out trade with each other, and they don't do trade with non NSG member. सो नॉन एनएसजी मेंबर के साथ ये ट्रेड नहीं करते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी शेयर नहीं करते हैं. बट वी नो दिस फैक्ट दैट एज पर द यूएस इंडिया न्यूक्लियर डील, ओके, सो यूएस फैसिलिटेटेड द एनएसजी वेवर. भी इंडिया को एनएसजी वेवर मिला हुआ है. एनएसजी वेवर इन द सेंस दैट इफ एनी एनएसजी मेंबर wants to sell any technology or wants to have any trade relations with India in respect to nuclear technology, then it is allowed. वो सिर्फ इंडिया के केस में अलाउड होगा, नॉट इन अदर केसेस, बट ओनली स्पेसिफिक इन इंडियन केस इट विल बी अलाउड. एंड दिस वाज टर्म्ड एज एनएसजी वेवर. वी ऑलरेडी हैव दिस एनएसजी वेवर. सो व्हाई इंडिया इज प्रेसिंग टू बी अ मेंबर ऑफ एनएसजी? डेफिनेटली it is going to be helpful for us, because if we are emerging as a, if we want to emerge as a superpower, okay, या world power बनना चाहते हो, then you should have your representation in all, you can say, bodies of governance. जितना हो सके उतने bodies का हमें member बनना ही बनना पड़ेगा. That's the point here. That's the point here. Freeze on new IAS deputation rules. Okay, so 8 states oppose the center's proposal to overcome acute shortage of civil servants. Now this is what is there. So this proposal was mooted last year to related to the how deputation and all are to be carried out. Okay, कि IAS officer state से कैसे जाएंगे, and like union said that like they can the union government can call IAS officers without even consulting the state governments. भी state governments को consult किए बिना भी वो किसी भी IAS officers को बुलाएंगे और कहेंगे आप आके union में serve कीजिए. And this is what was not acceptable to states, because right now for this their approval will not be required. So this is what you have to understand. Now union recruits IAS, IPS, इनको union recruit करता है, but they work under state government के साथ मिलके काम करते हैं. They remain an employee of union, वो union के ही employee बन के रहते हैं, वो state government के employee नहीं होते हैं. Okay, this is the additional thing that you should know. But this is the arrangement that is existing, and right now union came out with new rules saying that these officers can be called in, you can say, to serve in union. Now right now there are some statistics that are out that only 10% of the mid-level IAS officers were posted with the union government in 2021. So every, you can say, entity is facing the shortage. ठीक है जी, हर जगह शॉर्टेज नजर आ रही है. इवन यूनियन, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट स्टेट, दिस शॉर्टेज इज एग्जिस्टिंग. तो या तो आप ज्यादा ऑफिसर्स रिक्रूट कर लो, दैट इज वन आंसर. ओके, सो this is what they have to look into. Otherwise state and union, they will end up in, say, another sort of tussle with each other. एक दूसरे के साथ tussle करते रहेंगे and the matter will went to court. matter जाएगा कोर्ट में. this is how things are. ठीक है ना, this is how things are. other than that there is nothing much. कुछ खास नहीं है यहाँ पे. okay, so here also there is one news that advisory board on disability not reconstituted since 2020. okay, so that's a problematic thing in our country कि भी आपके यहाँ पे अपॉइंटमेंट डिले होता है, and this board was to be reconstituted and we are delaying that as well. so this is what the problem is. ये major problem नजर आती है. now this board was supposed to work, okay, under the Rights of Person with Disability Act, and this has not been reconstituted. अब 2 साल से ये बोर्ड का जो काम था वो कौन कर रहा होगा? कोई नहीं करेगा. That's the point here. That's the point here. So this is what they are talking about. Okay, that was the thing. So ये सारी चीजें यहाँ पे चल रही हैं. On the international page, Johnson presses on despite the rebellion. Okay, so ये चलता रहता है. It is about the internal politics of United Kingdom. So Russia claims partial control of Severodonetsk. okay, so they are also claiming here, they are also claiming things here. एंड बट एवरीथिंग हैज इज कमिंग विद द हैवी प्राइस. रशियन को जो है काफ़ी प्राइस यहाँ पे पे करनी पड़ी है, नुकसान हो रहा है. अनदर यू कैन से रशियन जनरल हैज़ डाइड. सो एक जनरल लेवल के ऑफिसर का मारा जाना किसी भी वॉर में, इट्स अ रियली बिग थिंग. So this is how things are. Now China, Cambodia to begin port project. Okay, already Chinese are investing in this region and they are enjoying good relations with Cambodia. Cambodia के साथ उनका relation काफ़ी अच्छा ही होता है, ठीक है ना. So this is what the whole scenario is. This is what the whole scenario is. Further, this is the revised, you can say, growth rate projection, and it is saying that it will be 7.5%. Okay. So we know that inflation is an issue, geopolitical tension, global supply chain issue. All these things are there which are weakening the recovery of our economy. So that's the present scenario. That's the present scenario. That's it for the day then. Thank you very much.